We have our two hosts with us.
Yeah,
That's
hosts.
That's better. We actually tried to record it previously and I fucked up the intro. So with me today I have Nelson. You're back. How you doing?
Hey guys, I was just out for a bit. Decided to go kill myself after that Juventus game. Need to drink some bleach and all that. Otherwise, I'm back, so it's all good.
Went on a bender last night and everything.
I'm never drinking again.
Don't lie. Don't lie. Come on.
We also have Mus.
Yo, ever present.
Yeah. And we have a special guest. The joke that I did before isn't gonna make much sense to you guys now. So we have Dan, Chrissy Footy, Skip Bayless,
Marcus Rojo.
Julian Weigl, Marcus Rojo.
Stranger Footy.
Daniel Puss. If you know, you know.
You still remember that?
These kids.
Yeah, well,
How you doing, mate?
I'm good, lads. How you doing?
So let's start with the pod. Actually, I forgot something. We now have our intro, I guess, and it was made by a friend of the pod, Tosin. Love you, go. So shout out to him.
Legend.
Twitter legend, inspired us to do this podcast. So shout out to him. Let's start with the Spurs game, guys. What do you guys think?
Solid game from City. It's a big game. Really unexpected from Pep last few minutes. That's all I have to say, really.
Yeah.
City taking every single team in the league for bans as per.
They're going from strength to strength.
Yeah.
Can't beat
I think they'll do even better this season, you know.
Do you think, I'm gonna pose a question, do you guys think they have the greatest collection of attacking talent the league has seen?
No.
Just
not
pure
individually.
just pure depth wise.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
I think pure depth wise they have it.
It's them or Chelsea 05.
No, I'd say United 0708.
I think United 0708 have the best individually, but I think City have the best just numbers, pure numbers, in positions.
Pure numbers wise. Yeah.
Like not end product, just numbers. Like the numbers in depth, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but then again, you see, I think that United team was better because you even had that wild card in Nani. You had Giggs, you had Ronaldo.
That United team was low-key overrated. I'm just gonna say that.
Ooh,
Arsenal were really close to them in 0708.
Arsenal were up until
if Eduardo didn't.
If Eduardo never got injured and
up.
Gallas didn't sit on the fucking touchline.
Chelsea
cried while the game was going on. You know how mad that is? Think about it. The game, he was watching the game from.
To be fair, Chelsea was even closer. Like 2 points. Yeah.
I was about to say that Chelsea were really good that year.
Yeah, I think I've said before that's our best ever squad in the Abramovich era. That 0708 team. It was just loads of depth, numbers.
Is that the season where Ballack scored the penalties?
Yeah, against United, yeah.
I thought they were going to the league after that.
I actually
it was just loads of
league final that Chelsea were the better team.
I think think that too, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were the more experienced team. Like if you look at our team, it was just full of players who they were all captains of their international sides. I think United, they had probably the better match winners though, like Ronaldo, Rooney, Tevez. I think Chelsea only really had Lampard, Drogba, and then Ballack, who could maybe just ones that could really take a scruff of the neck. And I think United will probably head
Ballack
on that.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Ballack was crazy.
I even tweeted Dan about this today. Like when you tweeted who's the most rated player of this era, I honestly think Ballack.
Yeah, I just think that too. He put up Lampard, Gerrard numbers for both club and country. Like his numbers for country were ridiculous. Like it was a borderline striker level hit rate. And he was carrying some pretty poor sides. Like I'm not gonna lie. Before, everyone's been spoiled by the Ozil generation.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, Ballack was carrying some just really defensive teams.
That Ballack Ozil debate that you sort of started.
Yeah.
That was an interesting one because obviously I never watched Ballack like live in his prime,
Yeah.
but the teams, just seeing the quality of both teams.
Yeah.
Germany from that little era, from before, like after their golden generation of like Mateus and all that, to Özil, basically the Neuer, Özil, Müller, they weren't that good.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I agree with that.
How many? Can I pose a question? Like, how many proper superstars did Ballack play with? Like, I would say Lampard, Drogba, and then maybe Terry. Like, in terms of like pure superstars, I don't think he played with that many.
Check.
Yeah. But we're talking about like defenders like Ashley Cole, Carvalho, but like what about with like attacking talent? Like, it was maybe like who was it? Was it? Yeah. But like when you compare that to like his other peers, like
but
I think.
But then again, he played for Bayern still.
But like with Bayern, Bayern's number 9. They don't. It wasn't like the Lewandowski level.
It was like Pizarro and
Pizarro level.
Roy Mackay as well.
Yeah. Who I mean, they were good players back in the day, but they're nowhere near like Lewandowski.
They weren't superstars.
Yeah. Yeah, and Ballack still managed to keep like a relatively high level, like get them pretty close to some semi-finals.
He had basically a 1-2 record for Bayern. I just checked.
Yeah, he carried Leverkusen to the final.
Yeah, he nearly got a near treble that year, but he was really unlucky to be. He was almost like the Griezmann of his era. Like he carried some really defensive teams to finals, but I don't know.
He won Player of the Year that year, didn't he? Your Champions League Player of the Year.
In what year?
2002.
Yeah, and he was also. I think he also won something individually in that World Cup. Like he assisted like in near enough every game, scored some clutch goals. Yeah, really good hero, really good player.
He was a brilliant player. I hated facing him against whenever he played against us. I hated him.
Yeah.
But then again, I hated Chelsea.
I hate Chelsea. I hate Chelsea. I hate United. I hate Liverpool. I don't mind City that much. I hate Tottenham.
I think 07-08 was a good season in the contrast between the teams. Like Arsenal were like the really like high flowing, high combination play team with loads of technical players.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah. United
like first season I ever watched like properly.
Yeah. I'd say United were like they were really unpredictable team. Just when you have like Rooney, Tevez, Ronaldo, those players could play in so many different positions. Like it was so hard to defend. Like Ronaldo would 1 minute be taking someone on like in the wing, and then 1 minute he would be like scoring a header in the box. It was so hard.
And it just proved with how many English teams were in the latter stages of the Champions League.
Yeah.
So Arsenal, Chelsea, and United in the semis. That's a madness. Like we're not going to see that for a long time.
Yeah, it really should have been 2 back-to-back English finals. It should have been like if that tie doesn't happen in 09 Barca Chelsea, it should have been United Chelsea for 2 years running.
That was the peak of their dominance, both those teams together.
Yeah.
Just going head to head.
We were actually really good in that 09 round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Ronaldo smacked up Kieran Gibbs, I cried. I've hated Kieran Gibbs since that day. People know that I despise Kieran Gibbs.
What do you guys think though? Like Arsenal were actually quite good. Like considering the constraints of the Emirates, their performances in the Champions League during that era were pretty good with Fabregas as like the main guy.
But then again, we had a very good team.
Would you say that?
I guess it gets underrated because we didn't win anything, but we had a very good team during those years.
Yeah, and we had Wenger, who was like more proactive, and the market around that time was Wenger at his best.
Yeah.
Because today, now there's social media. One player in Liga has a good game, they're all over Twitter. IIF soccer, breaking the lines, whatever, scouting talent, they're all over that player. Back in 2007, you think if Nicolas Pepe has a good game, anyone knows? No. So Wenger can go over there, put a £5 million bid, and he has him. And now
Wenger's the goat, man.
in the Prem knows. Now
he's a whistleblower.
He can't watch. He can't watch a player be like, I want him. Like he probably thought he could do that with Mbappe.
He said a really interesting thing, Wenger, the other day. Like he said how people are supporting players instead of clubs.
I think
it's really interesting.
It's true.
Yeah.
People want to call him mad, but it's true. You think
Even Barca fans are starting to move like that. Like,
in it, Messi leaves Barca,
yeah,
half their fans will drop.
yeah.
They can't fill the new camp now. Imagine in 10 years.
Yeah.
New camp, they want to have it 100k. They're not going to get 40 when Messi's gone.
To be fair, I think even though City, I think City right now are like the only club that you don't see their fans really like caping for one player. It's like because there's just so many. It's like
they don't have a standout player.
Who's their stand? It's Raheem Sterling right now.
Yeah.
Exactly. I said it what? Episode 1. They don't have a standout player
this
season.
Like,
now it's Raheem after that, like after the past 2 weeks. But who's City's superstar? KDB. Yeah. And he's been injured and they're still unbeaten. They're taking the league in hand.
It's like every club has that. Like with Chelsea, it's Hazard, like hands down. Every club has that. Every club has that one like match winner that will take the game by the scruff of the neck. City have like four of them.
City have like 6.
Yeah.
There's no point like caping. City have 6.
Yeah.
At least Sané, Mahrez, Sterling, KDB, David Silva to an extent, because creatively he can just take over a game.
Mm-hmm.
Bernardo Silva, another match winner. Don't even get me started on their strikers.
Bernard is no match winner.
Bernardo Silva not a match winner.
I think he's he's like a complimentary player. He's like a really good one though.
I agree. I don't think he's a match winner at all.
What have you been watching this season?
No, but he is a creative player, but he's basically in the same. I think of him basically in the same vein as Ozil, in which I don't expect if I'm watching City, I don't expect him to score a goal out of nowhere.
I think Ozil is more of a game breaker than Silva because Ozil's final ball and vision is just a lot better. I think though Silva, you can argue for like tactical versatility, he's much easier to fit in.
He's more versatile.
Yeah.
He's more
I would say Ozil. I would say Silva's more like an Isco or a Modric, in that they just complement players so well.
He's better in the final third.
He's way better than Isco.
Way better.
Bernardo Silva is way better.
Oh, Isco, fam.
I'm not sure.
3 episodes in a row, you want me to go on Isco?
I think it's recency bias with Isco. Like in that title-winning season, he brought up some really good numbers. Like I think it was like he ended up with 10 goals that season in the league.
Yeah, that title, even Mariano had like 10.
Stop lying. He had like 3.
I think Morata was like the second highest goal scorer.
Morata was their second top goal scorer of the bench.
Yeah, but still though, like a player had to step up, and Isco did it that season. I think ever since then it's been, I'm not sure. I don't know what's happened.
To be fair, Bernardo was doing the same thing at Monaco at that time, so.
Yeah.
I feel like James was a good member to have around the squad because it kept Isco on his toes. I
think as much hate as Morata gets nowadays, I think he was a good player to have around the squad as well. Like
I agree.
He obviously loved the squad, the club. He's a Madrid boy, and he constantly produced off the bench. Like even if you think it was against like relegation, like fodder, he was still happy.
He still did.
Yeah, he still did it, and he was professional about it. And I think Madrid have lacked that. In all honesty, like. Who can they really call nowadays when the game's 1-1 off the bench?
Vinicius.
Yeah, but like a really good young talent. But like, come on, he's unproven.
That's the thing, though. They don't have a superstar no more.
Yeah.
They don't have Ronaldo. Like
Bale's really their superstar, and like he's constantly.
And that's sad because I love Gareth Bale, but that's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys see that video during the week? Of him like rinsing Maicon. That brought me so many memories. Like,
yeah.
That was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
What? Like, no one can tell me that was 8 years ago.
Like
that's bad.
Gareth Bale is a shadow.
What a player!
I think he's underrated nowadays as well.
I think he's underrated now.
Yeah, he really did transform into a complete player. Like from that, he used to be like that 4-4-2 winger, and then. He had that breakout season where he became like just everything. Yeah,
he became everything. He'd be top 3 in the Prem if he came back.
He'd be top 3. I think he'd top 2.
I think. Do you think United would obviously be the most obvious place for him for a Bale?
Probably Chelsea or us.
Yeah.
Why not Spurs? Why aren't people genuinely thinking about that? You
Bro,
think if
Spurs,
Levy...
I don't think Poch likes those type of
Spurs
players.
weren't even invited to the Super League. Like we can't be because we can't be putting superstars like hitting their team. Like they just gotta rely on like the on
How
the.
old is Bell? 29.
Yeah, Bale's 29. If Bale was on the contract year, I'd back him to go to Spurs.
I think Levy has money. I think Levy... Well, he doesn't have money like now, but I think if it was Bale, I
Yeah,
think
it was a big statement of intent. Ali recently signed a contract. That was a big statement of intent for them.
Yeah, they got Ali and Kane locked up.
Yeah.
But
That's like-
Ericsson is
For me,
Eriksen's
like
bouncing.
whenever I judge
But
big
Eriksen's
clubs,
God.
whenever I judge like the biggest clubs, it's the way their ability to retain players. Like people have said, like United have been in a banter era these past couple of years, but while that may be true, they've still been able to retain like De Gea.
Yeah.
They've still been able to
That's
retain players.
Well,
That's it. And not really,
Yeah.
because look at the hair
Was-
now.
But like,
De Gea
come
can
on,
go
but
next summer.
loads of like if United have gone through two times where they haven't gone into the Champions League, but I think if that happened to any other club, De Gea would have been gone, and they wouldn't. And they've also got Pogba as well from a club that had recently been competing in like a final. So I think it shows the intent of clubs if they're able to retain players.
Nelson, do United have an option on the hair?
I think so.
Because I
Pretty
see
sure they
something
would.
saying he's going Juve. So
Yeah,
I don't know what to believe.
he can't go. I troll the saying that he's not good, but if he goes
You seen your expected goals like conceded this season,
I haven't actually.
this season,
this whole season? Like
I don't want to see it. Tell me what's the number saying?
I didn't see the number, but I saw like against Bournemouth, it was like 3.25, I think.
What?
Now,
Should
Look
we
at-
talk about that Bournemouth United game? What do you guys think about it?
Bournemouth are really good.
You think?
Eddie Howe is it.
Nah,
Eddie Howe might be-
Eddie Howe for England.
He's better than Southgate.
Eddie Howe
1000%.
for Real. Eddie
So
Howe.
I'll lay my.
I think he's the perfect Poch replacement, Eddie Howe. Like if Poch ever leaves that project.
That's a
I'd
shout.
agree. I'd agree.
That's a show.
Because the transition from one coach to another wouldn't be as big as
Yeah.
you think. So yeah, I think he's the perfect man.
And I just really like the intensity they play. I love the way they use their fullbacks. Nathan Ake is a really. I remember David, you tweeted out like a couple of months ago that Nathan Ake is really underrated.
Yeah.
And like a couple of people like maybe like gave you like, nah, he's just like a above average starter, but he's actually really good. Like
I'd take Ake at Arsenal. I'd take
I
anyone
want-
at Arsenal, but I want Ake. Like, there's a few players
would you take Christensen at Arsenal?
every day of the week. I said this last
Yes.
week.
Yes.
I would take Christensen. He'd be amazing.
It's been really sad. Like
I was saying Christensen was the
Decline.
best in the league last season, and I'll
Wow.
die on that hill.
Ooh,
Wow.
I don't know
Last
about
season,
that.
that's what I was saying, because at the time, before, I don't even know what went on. After that Messi game,
Yeah,
maybe he lost a bit of confidence. Even now, he should be starting over David Luiz. Don't.
I don't know, man.
disagree.
I think Luis has been. I've never been a big Luis fan, but he's been excellent this season. Like especially past couple of games, like showing a real leadership.
Do you guys want to jump into the Chelsea segment?
Yeah, sure.
Come on.
Because
Uh,
we don't speak much about Chelsea because none of us supports them.
Yeah.
So Dan, how have you seen this season? Obviously, with Sarri coming in, changing
been
basically
yeah.
everything.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting season for us. If I was to like say one way to describe it, like just being completely like objective, it'd be like I still see us as being a bit unsustainable. Like the way I think our pressing is really inconsistent. Like
Yeah.
there are times where I see like our players, like especially Loftus-Cheek and Barkley, they don't know where they are at times, like off the ball. Pedro and William can be caught ball watching at times, and like for me, in order to like for Sarri to fully implement his ideas, it's for that pressing to like become much better. And it's quite disappointing when you see like Arsenal under Emery, who I think are starting to become a really good pressing side these past couple of weeks, and I think we're still lagging behind in that. I think another thing I really like, it's been a bit surprising, is that we almost like Hazard. We're much more Hazard dependent than we've ever been before, which is mad. Like when we first got Sarri in, I think we all thought like we wouldn't be as dependent on Hazard
He
as we
looked
are.
good last week
Yeah.
without him.
Yeah,
He looked really good without him.
yeah, but I think that Burnley game was a bit weird because I think Dyche was quite naive in that he played quite a high line, and I think that's why Morata had his best game this season because he had so much more space to run in.
Right, was in his bag.
Yeah, like before that, like
4-2.
yeah, but
Nice.
I don't want to be like all negative about Sarri because the guy's it's now 11 games unbeaten, and he started coaching like in July. Like the guy has obviously got his ideas across quickly. It's just how sustainable they are is like my only question. But I really like the way we use like our combination play has been quite solid in the final third. It's just honestly it's just a bit of a flawed team now. Like I want to see more like goals from midfield. Like Kovacic, he at times like you don't know what he is at times. Like he's
Are
only
you
got one
expecting
assist.
goals from Kovacic, Kante, and
Yeah.
Jorginho? It's not
Yeah.
happening.
And like
What do you guys
Not
think
got
about
Ballack and
Kante?
Lampard.
yeah,
I've been saying people.
the thing is like I tweeted this out a couple of weeks ago. It's like if you don't have like a Salah, Firmino, Mane, or a Messi, Suarez, Neymar like level front three, you have to have goals from midfield, or else your team is like will become really predictable. And right now we don't have that level of front three, and we don't have goals from midfield, so it leaves like
Set pieces.
yeah, it means we
And
have to
Alonso.
rely on like really unsustainable ways of scoring, like Hazard.
You haven't got big Gaz Cahill no more.
Yeah,
To give
yeah.
you 7. Marcus Alonso will probably still give you his 5.
like that. It almost like brings you back to the Conte season in that how balanced that team was. Like Costa, Hazard, Pedro were all contributing relatively. Like it was really well balanced. The team that was really good. It was really good in defensive transition. You had good depth with Moses and Alonso, and you constantly had cover. Like it was a really perfect system.
Yeah. Fabregas
Right now-
off the bench.
Yeah, Fabregas off the bench, Willian off the bench. It was quite sustainable. Like, but right now, it's the lack of goals from midfield that sort of scared me. That's why Ramsey looks a really interesting proposition in January with like that whole contract situation, and also Ericsson. I think Ericsson would absolutely complete.
Oh, I think Ericsson would take you over the hill.
Yeah.
Like
Eriksen
he would
be amazing.
turn you into Champions League, like
Yeah,
quarterfinal at least.
yeah, and also better fullbacks. Like, I love.
Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah,
I think Alonso is underrated. I'll just put that on the record.
Yeah.
so he's a really hard player to like and rate because he's such like an ugly player to watch. Like he relies a lot on like winning headers, being in the right like poaching, and he's like a fullback.
Yeah.
He's really slow at like tracking back.
I
But
think
he
his
can't-
improvement this season has gone on under the radar.
Yeah, I think Rudiger. If I was to give Sarri his biggest like praise, it's
Yeah.
the way he has improved Rudiger. That guy is.
His waves, man. Have you seen his waves?
Yeah, Rudiger's got waves now, and now he's balling.
That guy's been amazing.
I think Conte deserves credit for making Rudiger into the player that he is today. Because I remember seeing games of him like at Roma, and
You see like the video of him and Perisic when he was on the floor.
He
Yeah.
got done. He got
Yeah.
this. That was disgusting.
and that's everything. Every time I thought of Rudiger, I thought of him a bit as a meme.
Clumsy. Yeah, clumsy. Yeah.
Clumsy, not reliable, and Conte made him into this really aggressive and dominant defender.
Yeah, no, like he constantly stays on his feet now. Like
Yeah.
he's almost like reminded me of like the way Pep sort of turned Boateng into a really like elite defender. Like I'm
Yeah.
hoping Sarri and Rudiger can have that similar sort of connection because I thought Boateng used to have that reputation as well. Just that sort of clumsy, like
Yeah.
defender
He was
that
a bit like.
would
Yeah, he was a bit like that.
That
That would
stint
get
at City
turned a
was
lot.
not good.
yeah.
A lot of
He
people
was-
forget that, but that
Yeah.
stint at City was not good.
He was looking like. But the thing is though, like it goes to show how like the way scouting works in that Bayern, like most players would be finished after a spell like that, but Bayern still saw his like physical talents, his on-ball talent, and he's now. I mean, he's a to be fair, he's kind of
He's
finished
mid
now, but
now. He's looking
Yeah.
kind of.
But I think at his best, he was one of like the best high line defenders like in the world. Like playing under Pep is really hard for a defender.
After what Messi did to him, I don't think he can the same.
Yeah. But I think he's always been really good for Germany as well. Like his performance in that World Cup final, he was up there. Like he was almost as good as Schweinsteiger's.
And I think it helped as well him when he used to play right back.
Yeah.
Internationally, like I think that's the effect that's going to happen to Pava. Playing right back internationally helps your one-on-one defending.
Ramos as well.
Ramos was just a full-time right back, and then became
the man that he is today.
The guy, that guy.
Yeah, he's still a bit of a polarizing player, Ramos. Like I tweeted the other day that Madrid centre backs like they get rated a lot based on the trophies they win, but like not on defending. Because like the thing is, they conceded like over 40 goals last season in the league. They were shipping in loads of goals. Like that was like Arsenal. That was like Arsenal level like defense. But it's hard to rate Madrid defenders. But at the same time, you have to like contextualize it in that they have no protection whatsoever.
Yeah.
So like if you put any other centre backs, it would probably be worse. But still, that's why I've always felt Barca's defensive structure. It's why their league tally has always been better. They've always had a much better structure, much more reliable one.
They've always had a better back four.
Yeah.
Real do now, I think.
I don't know, what do you guys think of City?
Individually.
Yeah.
The City defenders have really impressed me this year.
Laporte, what a player, man.
Yeah. Really good.
Yeah, Laporte.
And they still want to. I think they still want to get other centre backs, and they still want to get that guy from Ajax.
The lift.
Yeah, they still want to get him. Been an
I don't know, how does that work? Having John Stones, the lift, and Laporte. That's not fair.
Yeah.
Their attack isn't fair.
Everything but that's the thing. City's defense is like even
Otamendi
starts for a lot of teams.
It's really hard now with City because I think before people used to use that Liverpool result as like a way to like, all right, this team is still human at the end of the day. But now, like, if you watch their performance at Anfield a couple of weeks ago, they like Pep adapted.
Very good.
Like their fullbacks were their wingers were tracking back now. They weren't as open in the middle. You know, Liverpool weren't constantly pouncing on turnovers. They were a lot more conservative on the ball. So now it's like, how do you really attack them? Like they don't concede high volume of shots on goal. And they still produce loads of high volume shots like at the opponent. So it's a really tough team.
They have a crazy number of touches in the box as well.
Yeah.
I think you just have to foul them out of the game. That's the only way to get a result against City. Is basically take turns in fouling people.
Do you see what they were doing in the box today? Just taking the piss. They didn't even score. They were just passing it. They weren't even. I don't think they wanted to score. Because Silva, you ever watch that video of Golden State where they were just passing it around?
Yeah.
Until they got the alley-oop to. That's what City were trying to do. I think they were trying to get someone to get on their knees and head it in at one point. Because Silva had the open shot and just passed it again.
Yeah.
They didn't concede since September.
Yeah. I think they're really going for that Chelsea record, the 15 goals conceded one. Which, I mean, I personally think that record will never be broken. Like, it's one of those records that won't be touched. But who knows?
I think the Christmas period will really test them. It will really test how good this City team is defensively. Because over that Christmas period, as much as City are dominant, that during that Christmas period is when everyone's weaknesses are exposed the most. Yeah,
that's where I really want to see how Sarri adapts that, because like I talked about the unsustainability aspect of him. Like I didn't even touch on the fact that his rotation policy is almost non-existent, and it's not like our squad.
Man.
Yeah, it's not like our squad is big enough, I think, to really handle because the thing is with Sarri is that he expects his midfielders to not just work like hard, but he doesn't rotate them. So like that's why I think in his Napoli spell, that's why you'd see like Hamsik would go off like in 65 minutes, things like that. And at Chelsea, I don't think he's been doing that. So like I wouldn't. The bad thing is that like these players are going to end up calling them burning them out, and then we're going to be calling them frauds, even though it probably won't be their fault, like that the manager just played them like till exhaustion. Like Willian has played like he's played like the last 9 games in a row.
Oh,
Like it's mad.
I think Sarri has small team syndrome. Like he's at a big team, has players that he's in awe of, and I think he just wants to watch them keep doing what they're doing, not realizing that it's a Thursday night, you're playing some random team, and you could rest every single one of them.
I think as well, like in a way to play like Sarri ball at its best. I think the players need to play a lot with each other. That's how the combination play becomes so good. That's how you get all the connections on the pitch, right? It's constantly playing with each other, and as a result, it leads to 2 things. It leads to burning out, but it also leads to like the good football. So it's like a double-edged sword, in a way.
Yeah.
But I also think my counter argument that for Chelsea burning out is that in Serie A, I felt like teams kept the ball more against Napoli, and at Chelsea, no, across the Premier League, there are at least 16 teams, no, not 16, I'd say about 14 to 15 teams that don't care about having the ball against big teams. And I even tweeted this today. I feel like the standard of football is pretty bad considering how much money every single Premier League team has.
Yeah.
Because today, say you played against Southampton. Southampton didn't even look like they belonged in the same pitch as them.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous. Yeah.
And this is the same team that got 120 million from the Premier League.
And like the thing is as well, it's even more embarrassing when like even I fall into it when we laugh at like other leagues like the French league, Bundesliga. But I mean, at least those teams don't have money, so they've got an excuse. Like these teams in the Premier League actually have money to spend, and they're still getting embarrassed like this.
Not only are they getting embarrassed on a weekly basis by the top 6. They are not showcasing any quality on the ball. They're not showcasing any principles of like a philosophy
of a Premier League team. Well, a team that should be in the Prem.
That's what really bothers me, is that there's no work being done outside of the top 8, top 9.
Teams in the Championship play better football. Some of them.
Yeah, I think there are loads of good players though in the lower leagues of the Premier League. Like there are loads of good players, but I do agree with you in that you don't see the philosophy as much as you used to see it. Like I think around like 2008, 2009, you could really identify like every Premier League team by the way they played. Yeah. Even though the quality of player might not have been as much as it is now. Like I doubt in 2008, like a team like Fulham could afford Seri or Schürrle.
Yeah.
But you could at least identify a style of play. You could identify with, Big Sam at Bolton. Mark Hughes
the bottom, whatever. There's Brighton, West Ham, Crystal Palace, Burnley, Southampton, Newcastle, Cardiff, Fulham, Huddersfield. Out of all of them, only Burnley, if you showed me, like, they have a philosophy to an extent.
Yeah.
None of them have an identity, like, at all.
West Ham feel like a bunch of players just grouped together, like...
West Ham, there's nothing there. Like,
Pellegrini...
They've got talent, there's just no collective, like, cohesion about them whatsoever.
And to be fair, like...
Get them playing better.
And bring something, at least. Like, bring a little bit of...
I like what Everton are doing, though. I like what
Everton are doing. Watford.
How, as a Portuguese, like, follower of football, how highly do you rate Marco Silva?
Pretty highly, because for people that don't know, I grew up in Portugal throughout 18 years of my life, and I supported Sporting and I supported Arsenal. I started supporting Arsenal when I was about 7 or 8. So when Marco Silva came into the club, it was straight after Jardim, and he basically carried on Jardim's work, but he elevated the players onto a different level. So Slimani, who flopped at Leicester, he developed a lot. He developed a lot technically during that season, and you could also see some elements of that in his work at Hull, in which a guy like Maguire and Andrew Robertson really came to the fore under Marco Silva. Especially.
Do you remember one of Marco Silva's first ever games was against Conte's Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and they played really well that game. Like it was like
Maguire.
it was a 2-0 at the end of the day, but they were like Maguire really impressed me that game. Like the way they were he was running out, like playing out from the back. Like there was real good like they even beat a Klopp's Liverpool during that run, and that was like that whole team was like that's one of the worst Premier League teams I've ever seen.
But that's the maddest thing, because everyone saw that team get relegated, and everyone still knew what kind of manager Marco Silva was.
Yeah.
And that's what, even though there was like everyone was laughing over the Soccer Saturday panel, like just completely disregarding him, but everyone still knew he was a mad manager.
I think he's a good manager. I'm not sure if he's a manager that's ever going to be good enough for a top 6 club. But But I think he's a really good manager, and what he's trying to do at Everton, trying to build some sort of identity, some sort of a team that can play attacking football, that can press. I really appreciate that, because there are not enough managers doing that in the Premier League at the moment.
Richarlison's the guy. Yeah, I was gonna say Richarlison's the guy.
To me, he's starting to become like the modern forward. Like they can just play anywhere in the front three, and I love players like that. They're just so unpredictable, versatile.
It's a bit of a hot one, but Richarlison versus Gabby Jesus, you take it.
Gabriel.
I'm taking Gabriel as well. Yeah.
I'm taking Gabriel.
I would take Gabriel at Chelsea, like any day.
Yeah, but you'd take Richarlison at Chelsea as well.
I'd prefer Jesus at Chelsea.
Really?
I think he's the perfect Sarri striker.
I
think especially for Chelsea, I'd take Richarlison.
I'm still hanging on to his first games at City, because when he first joined, wow, I don't think I've ever been
before the injury.
Yeah, man.
That 10-game little, he was mad. I thought he was gonna lead them to a title. I thought Conte was done. When he joined City, he was looking crazy.
And it was for a good fee as well. They bought him for, it was like
45 million.
Yeah.
Yes.
25 mil for Gabriel Jesus in this market.
Ridiculous.
This is what I'm telling you. City are just built different.
Yeah.
Their whole from top to bottom, they're built different.
They're doing a very good job, and I feel like more clubs should look, especially in top 6, more clubs should look at having a structure like them, because what we're seeing at Arsenal is some sort of culture change to a more European model, and I think we're actually seeing the rewards of it on the pitch, in which you don't see Wenger as involved with off-pitch matters, and the coaching that the players are receiving at the moment is really impressive, because I never associated with us being a pressing side, a team that works hard, that's willing to go to battle, and that's what we're doing at the moment. And
what do you guys think of that? It's a good transition to Arsenal-Liverpool.
Yeah.
What do you think of the game?
I was impressed, but I want to see it on a more consistent basis. So
It
was definitely like one of your best first half performances. Like that's always been under Emery. It's always been like first half has always been a bit big, quite poor. Yeah.
I don't know how I went
Liverpool
into it.
Liverpool were awful throughout the game.
So, yeah, it was.
I'm not liking how they're pressing this season. You know.
Klopp's turning into Mourinho. He's trying to do something that is just.
They need Buvac. I'm so sorry. Klopp and Buvac were a match made.
I do think though, if I was to say a thing about Klopp though, is that if I would call like Sarri like unsustainable so far, I would say Klopp I see his results as being sustainable in that he's keeping.
They'll last long.
He's winning like a scumbag these days.
And the front three still hasn't even clicked yet, and it's November.
I don't think the front three will click this year.
I think it definitely will. Yeah.
I think Salah will. I think people are starting to see that Salah is that guy.
I am under the impression that that the front three isn't working as hard as they did last season, especially off the ball.
But the entire team isn't.
No, they got lazy because they know they can win other ways. No.
Well, not lazy, but like they're just choosing not to press as much as they were.
And I feel like the front three is suffering from the lack of turnovers high up the pitch. So Liverpool last season benefited greatly from winning the ball up the pitch, putting the ball in behind, and Salah Mane and Firmino would either give them the others an assist or score themselves. And this
Yeah.
season, they're forced to do a lot more to get those
They're
opportunities.
they're dropping deeper. A lot. Salah's dropping deeper a lot more.
Yeah. Salah yesterday was the only one who, when they got the ball, I was scared.
Yeah.
It always
And
seemed.
that's I can't lie. I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that about him last year. Last
Nah.
season, even when he got on the ball, I was never really scared. But it shows how I think he's starting to actually improve as a player.
See,
Like,
that's the thing, because people who, I don't want to say, but know the game, I think Salah, they seeing that Salah is not changed one bit from last
yeah,
season.
I think
Like,
that's
for me,
ridiculous.
His numbers,
like,
underlying
people are going
numbers
to
are
call
even
him a
better.
fraud. Exactly. His underlying numbers are even better.
And his fitness
he
is
can
much
just
better as
blow.
well.
Exactly. He can just blow. And if he
Like-
blows, he ain't stopping.
I think like his fitness is starting to reach like Cristiano, Neymar levels. He's just never tired. He's constantly looking to go on the run.
Always be fine.
I think Neymar has actually regressed physically,
Yeah,
because I've been watching a lot of PSG this year, and he tires by the 80th minute quite a lot. But then again, he's being forced to do a lot more than he was forced to do
He
last
can't,
season.
yeah, he's carrying.
He's doing a carry job, and Tuchel, I prefer not to speak on Tuchel.
There's
I
a
don't know,
couple
I
man
think-
that want to disregard Emery's winning run, but when it comes to Tuchel, they're gone quiet. I'm not going to
Emery's
name
better than
names.
Tuchel.
Do you think?
Yeah,
In what way?
That's a big, big thing.
I
can't
agree
say
with him.
that. I don't know.
thank you.
I don't know.
I prefer Tuchel in a billionaire club than Emery. But I prefer Emery at a club like Arsenal
I agree.
rather than Tuchel.
Yeah.
I agree. But I was actually listening to a podcast the other day, and it was about PSG. And what they said is that Emery, when he was there, he was a very stressed character.
Yeah.
So
He looked like he looked like a school teacher. He looked like a very like strict school teacher.
Yes,
At
yeah.
PSG.
But that's exactly the comparison that they made, is that Emery, while he was a good coach, he didn't get along with the players on a personal level
Yeah.
to the same extent that
Yeah.
Tuchel has.
He gets bullied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tuchel's witty. Tuchel's smart.
Yeah.
Like,
But
he
I
knows
think
players.
Surprisingly,
But I
Yeah.
think a bad thing about that is it's obviously a double-edged sword in that he might be more friendly than Emery, but it also leads to like their Champions League performances so far where they haven't been pressed. They've been lacking like the Matuidi figure they had years ago. They've been lacking, their front three hasn't been working as hard, and it's cost them some like results. It's cost them against Liverpool, Napoli. They just aren't combating like in high pressing games, and that's what.
They're
In
not,
Europe, you need energy. You need running.
yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I feel like PSG lack quality in midfield, and I feel like the system that Tuchel is trying to implement isn't good enough.
Just a bit stale.
But
Yeah,
I feel like
if
I
you-
feel Tuchel at his best is a pressing coach. Like he needs running in midfield, and like when you talk about quality, like for me the quality is someone like a Matuidi or a Kante,
Yeah.
and because the thing is like people might be adverse to the fact that like that might make the build up in their play worse, but for me it's like when you have a front three of like Neymar, Mbappe, Cavani, I feel like when you just have like a foundation of guys like Matuidi and Kante, it almost makes it like irrelevant. Like you just have players have players that can turn games on that quickly. It doesn't really matter.
I think a player like Dumbele at PSG would do wonders
No,
in a 4-3-3.
I disagree. I feel like they need a
Alright.
defensive midfielder, like a control.
I think a defensive midfielder as well.
I feel
but-
like they missed the trick on Jorginho, and I feel like they made a mistake letting Pastore go, but.
Nah,
it is-
Pastore is what it is. He needed to go. He wasn't getting game
But
time.
they need that sort of game changer, that guy that can out of nowhere can pull a pass into the final third and to help Neymar create chances. Because when I watched them on Friday, and we even got a question from Tosin about that. They just can't progress play without Neymar, and it's becoming more and more evident that they're just gonna stumble in Europe again because they have no way of progressing the play without Neymar being someone making a 1-2 with Mbappe
Thing is though,
and getting a shot off.
well, welcome to Eden Hazard's life for the past like 5 years.
Exactly.
That's been Hazard for the past 5 years. Is we pretty much put a wall and let Hazard do his thing, and it's obviously been successful. And I don't see
Hazard
why.
won a league title with Marcus Alonso, Victor Moses, N'Golo Kante, and Nemanja Matic behind him.
Yeah, it's like our system was basically just let's build a wall around Hazard and let him and Costa just win games for us. And I don't see why. Yeah, and I don't see why PSG can't do the same with Neymar. And it'll obviously mean less. He won't probably have to do as much defensive work if he did that, and he will just have to focus on just winning games. And
that's what they're doing. That's what they're trying to do, but they don't.
They just don't have.
They don't have the Kante. They don't even have the Matic in a way.
Verratti can do something.
They have an alcoholic as their holder.
Yeah, I think that's the. To be fair, like, do you think PSG will ever reach like a performance like they had against Barca with Emery, that 4-0 they had?
Yes.
No.
Do you think they'll ever reach that level under a Tuchel?
Yes, because Tuchel will.
With a few more transfers, yeah.
Yeah. Tuchel will eventually get his players, and eventually they'll get to that level. But with the current personnel, no way. No way.
I agree.
You forget though that team had like Draxler, Di Maria, Cavani, and they didn't have Neymar and Mbappe, and they still managed to produce that performance. And they were like, PSG have been producing some really good performances even before Neymar had even reached the club. Like,
So Zlatan.
I think they just had a more complete team.
Yeah.
Before they had Prime Motta, well not Prime Motta, but Motta who was playable.
Yeah.
And I think if they had that version of Motta now, I think there'd be a much better team.
Matuidi
as well.
I think
that version.
I think Verratti as well. Like, we haven't talked about him enough, but like he was obviously big in those ties as well. Like, his performance at Stamford Bridge is like one of the best performances I've seen from a midfielder. Yeah. Like, he was just
when he came to the Emirates, when he came to the Emirates, he was super impressive as well. Like, he scored the own goal for Arsenal's first goal. No, it was Arsenal's second. But from then onwards, he just bossed us. He just kept popping around Coquelin and Ramsey, and they simply just didn't stand a chance against him.
So to be fair, like, I think right now,
stick Neymar and Mbappe onto Emery's first season PSG team. And they might have won the Champions League. They might have won the treble, like serious, like everything.
I think right now the most sustainable team in Europe is Juventus, like with the setup they have.
Yeah.
They have the like, people might not like their midfield aesthetically, but it's a really good foundation to work with. It's just a lot of high energy, a lot of discipline. They've got the fullbacks. They've got
perfect manager.
And they've obviously got one of the best like players of all time.
They've got the greatest footballer of all time on their team.
I don't know about
that.
Allegation Ronaldo though.
Allegation Ronaldo. What am I saying? He's in his bag. He's got a clear mind. Goes simple. Nothing.
Who's better, flu game Jordan or rape game Ronaldo?
Yo, you're gonna get us taken off SoundCloud. Relax. David, edit that one out.
I censor.
I'm not editing that.
Yo.
Ronaldo has this look after that allegation. That guy, Jesus, I don't know. He's built differently.
He's doubling down on the family, man.
I was watching Juventus Napoli like a couple of weeks ago. The guy was literally laughing in like a big game. Like football's too easy. It's too easy.
Football is too easy for him.
Yeah.
He's 33.
I see it from outside the box.
He's 33.
Ronaldo
People still call him finished. That's even more baffling.
That's disgusting. People are disgusting, honestly.
No, but I think it's fair to assume that Ronaldo has slowed down because he is not the
Yeah,
same
he's
that.
33 years old.
Yeah, because we basically watched Ronaldo since he was 19.
Yeah.
Dan a bit more. I watched him when he was around 19, 20. You
I
guys
think
are all
first real like consistent season I saw of him was 05-06, where he was like a winger on a 4-4-2.
my first season of watching him was when he 06, 07. So since he was
That's
like
when
That
he
was
that was his
that
team
was the
basically.
pre-season, yeah.
Yeah.
Mine
when,
07 of it, like fully, like properly watching them.
06, 07, yeah. 06, 07 was when Fergie like he sold Van Nistelrooy and was like, Ronaldo, Rooney, that's gonna be my two main guys.
yeah.
And they won like 3 titles in a row. But
Because we've
Look
watched,
at that
we've watched
bum, Van
Ronaldo.
Nistelrooy. The minute they sell him, they're winning titles again. But if I speak,
So we've watched Ronaldo all the way from being this electric winger who could beat anyone to a goal scoring machine that could score 60, 70 goals a season, and now
while still being able to do that, what he
And-
did before.
yeah, and then we watched him become more of this 9 that was a bit less mobile.
Bit of a poacher, really.
I would say when we consider him a poacher, I think what he's become is like
I think
almost like
Ronaldo's a top
imagine a 6'2" Aguero. I think that's Ronaldo. Or Ronaldo's pretty much transition. And
Yeah.
Aguero's fucking amazing. But imagine him 6'2". That's Ronaldo. That's how ridiculous he is.
Ronaldo, even I think this season, like start of last season, Ronaldo was looking really lethargic, quite actually, from the start of last season, I'll start this again. In the first Clásicos in the Super Cup, he was looking amazing.
Yeah.
Like, he was looking slim.
Was it in that blue kit?
In the blue kit where he lifted it up.
Yeah.
And then in his bag, he got injured for a bit, and then Real started really slow. And then that was just where it was looking all over the place. He had that 1.25% conversion rate.
Yeah.
Just looking a bit dead.
Then he exploded.
But this season, he hasn't really had a slow start. Because even when he wasn't scoring, he was still looking like Juve's most dangerous player.
I think his overall game as a striker has improved ever since he's joined Juve.
Yeah.
He's also much leaner. He looks really lean.
Yeah, he's looking. But he has to now.
Yeah.
Like, he can't be that big guy and still be as quick and as dominant.
Yeah, I think he's gotten a bit quicker from like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
like that.
I agree.
And it's a testament to Ronaldo himself because we have never seen anyone age this slowly in football.
Yeah, he's got the body of a 24-year-old.
Yeah, I think
Like,
I would go as far as saying that Ronaldo is probably the best built footballer we've ever seen. Like, just pure physically wise, I think he's the best. Like, just in terms of the way he's built, like the height, the mobility, I think it's the best we've seen.
And he can jump like a basketball.
Yeah. Like, do you remember that jump he did
Against United?
Yeah, against Evra. Like,
Ronaldo looks like he was made in a
lab.
in a lab, and has every year just been tweaked to the best of his ability to make his body the best of his ability.
Yeah. I would say he's the best built footballer ever, and I'd say he's the best ball striker ever as well. Like, I don't think there's a player that can hit a ball as good as Ronaldo can. Like, the way he hits it at such awkward angles is ridiculous. Like, the technique to do it and
he can
the
do it
talent
with both feet.
Yeah, you can do it with both feet. He can do it like bouncing, like he can hit like a knuckleball. He can do it in so many different styles. It's ridiculous, and it's a big reason why he's like just probably the deadliest player, like in the penalty box.
Yeah, I think
goals.
I think Messi has a bigger variety of finishes, but I think Ronaldo's a better finisher.
I think Messi definitely he can curl it to the corners like just more accurately.
Yeah.
I think that's like Messi. That's his best move, and I don't think Ronaldo can do that as good as Messi. But I think the power Ronaldo generates, I don't think Messi can generate that power, especially at the awkward angles he hits.
And I think Ronaldo's just that clutch gene, you know, what he has. Like Messi's a clutch player, but Ronaldo, what we saw like 16, 17 in the Champions League. That for me, that's the best version of a footballer.
Nah,
for me, the best version of football player is 14, 15 Messi.
I'd say 16, 17 Messi as well.
16, 17 Ronaldo.
Because in that season, Barcelona didn't win anything but the Copa del Rey, but the level that Messi elevated everyone around him was so overwhelming to me, because in that season, for some reason, I watched a lot of Barcelona games, and I felt like that was the best version of Messi that I had ever seen.
Yeah.
16, 17?
Yeah, 16, 17.
Anyway.
Not him poaching in 2012. None of that. But, nah, Ronaldo had Bayern, Atletico, Juve, all three in a row in the Champions League, and he was taking them all three for bans.
Braces.
He scored, a brace in the quarterfinal, the first leg. I think he scored, was it a hat-trick in the second leg?
Yeah.
Two in extra time.
Ronaldo, wow. Like, when we look back at it, just...
We're spoiled. Him and Messi in the same era is insane.
They're the best players of the 2000s and the 2010s, like, pretty much 2 decades. Ronaldo and Messi.
Oh, they're the best, two best ever.
I don't know.
Like
Pele exists.
Don't tell. Are you Sunes?
No, but
Hey, listen.
Pele was crazy, fam.
And Pele didn't have the luxury of the performance enhancing drugs that Messi and Ronaldo probably did.
Coming clutch.
Yeah.
Do you even know how much balls weighed back then? And the power he generated with them.
And the pitches must have been terrible as well. Like,
the minute I watched a clip from 1950s football, I was like, nah, man, Pele in the GOAT. Relax. The man didn't even like do diags. He just played like 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. Like one will try a long ball, like break his foot, and then let's go. Nah.
Football, that's something that people don't really consider about football. Football has evolved so much since the 90s that we don't really understand how much different it was before then. So we associate with football with being a bit slow and 4-4-2s and traditional wingers and all that stuff. But football, prior to that, was archaic to what we know of it, and it's been really cool to see all these different styles emerge through the past 2 decades. I think football is getting. A lot of people say football is getting worse because of money and everything. I think football is getting better.
Football's getting better. Don't let all these.
And the players are getting more fitter and better.
Yeah.
As
well. We're in a golden generation of football talent as well.
Attackers are getting better, and that's
attackers. Maybe you can say maybe defending isn't getting better. Like the art of defending is getting worse.
No, I actually disagree. I think defending as an art has peaked, and defenders cannot get physically better. The only thing defenders can do to get better is to get physically better.
Yeah.
But other than that, they cannot do anything else, because attackers at the end of the day will always be faster than them, will always be trickier, will always be in a privileged position, because they set by their movements, they will set what the defender will do. So a defender will never be able to fully guess what an attacker will do, while an attacker can always change the game.
Yeah. That's why I look at Varane so crazy. He's just so quick and so smart.
Van Dijk as well. Yeah.
Van Dijk, yeah.
I might have to drop my agenda, not gonna lie.
Me and David used to hate Van Dijk. I was dying on the hill.
I used to call him the Dutch Smalling, you know.
I think Van Dijk...
I think Smalling is also in that physical regard. Like, he's really talented physically. Yeah.
He was really quick as well in his prime.
He's just really. I think he's just too really poor on the ball. Like,
Yeah.
It's a disgrace.
The thing with Van Dijk, and I even tweeted it this week, I get this sense of invincibility from him, where no matter what I do or whatever any attacker will do, you just won't break him.
Yeah.
yeah,
And it becomes like you going against this wall that is stronger than you. You can jump higher than you. You can intercept.
It's like
balls.
Vidic.
Like Vidic and like Terry in a way, because Terry,
Yeah.
when Chelsea won that 14-15 title, I felt like nothing could get past Terry.
That game versus Arsenal.
yeah.
And this is exactly what I feel about Van Dijk. Like,
How old was Terry 4 years ago?
He was like 34 when he dropped that clinic at the Emirates. Yeah,
38 games in a row as well. He played all 90.
yeah. For me, that was like, it was just what I think what made Terry so good though. It's a thing that I think Van Dijk hasn't reached that level yet. He might. It's the defensive consistency in the actions he makes. Like just like I think people underestimate how hard it is to constantly keep on clearing like just balls from the box.
Yeah.
Like there's that one point where like naturally humans make a bad mistake, but the consistency in the actions, it was just for like 38 games it was ridiculous. Even though like teams would sometimes try to expose him with like pace, but like in terms of the box, like I think he's like I don't think I've seen a defender as good as him just defending his box. Like
Yeah.
I'd agree with that. Champions League predictions. Anyone wants to make them?
I'll read them out.
Okay.
As always. So, Champions League's been a bit. I don't know, man. It's lost a bit of
The Super League needs to come in.
No, stop.
I think-
No chance. No chance.
If it doesn't, I'll say it. I'll say this. If it was to replace the Champions League with a different format, I'll be all for it. But
Yeah.
But in the current way that they're trying to implement it, nah, that's just
They said they're gonna leave their FAs.
that's just dumb. It's just dumb. But if it was like 3 teams from each division, so 15 teams from the top 5 divisions plus another 5 join every season and made a league by themselves, I think that would be really cool. I think so. Basically, you'd have the top 5 leagues. The other 5 teams would qualify through playoffs or whatever, and then you just do a league. You just do a league every Wednesday or every Tuesday, and then you'd remain. And every season there would be like this qualification process in which the top 3 teams in the Premier League would qualify to that Super League. So
I don't think the Champions League is broken to that. Yeah.
I think it is. I think it is.
I
Because
Why?
think the Champions League is just so prestigious. Like, I don't think because Real Madrid have won it 3 times in a row that it isn't prestigious still.
no, it's not that. It's just we always see the same. It's kind of boring, but it's exciting at the same time. We always see Bayern, we always see Real Madrid, we always.
That's
What
not
do you
their
think it's
fault,
going to be
though.
when the Super League,
That's not their fault though.
when the Super League comes, you think the same teams aren't going to be in it as well?
No,
But don't you think it's like it's cyclical in a way? Like we could have said about this in 2008 about the English clubs, how like the English clubs are always in the semi-finals, the
Yeah.
quarterfinals and stuff. And now like every like league has its day. Like Madrid probably aren't. Madrid are 3-peated, but they're probably not going to do anything this year in the Champions League.
Actually, I agree with you, Dan, on that.
Because so who knows? Maybe like in the next couple of years, maybe the Italian teams make a comeback, where Juventus, Inter are sort of like dominating, or we get back to an English dominance, which I think I think is probably the most likely.
What's your stance going to be on the GOAT if Ronaldo leads Juve to a Champions League?
I still have Messi as better. I would still have Messi as better, but I think Ronaldo, like in terms of career,
The narrative as well.
I think the narrative and career, Ronaldo's career, you could definitely argue is better than Messi's if he
Because,
wins that.
what is it? It's 3 of the best teams in Europe.
Like biggest
The 3
club.
biggest clubs in the 3 biggest countries to an extent.
Yeah, and he's leading.
All 3 in Champions League droughts.
Yeah,
and he leads all 3 to Champions Leagues.
And he leaves his comfort zone.
Yeah, and he left his comfort zone in both occasions where he left.
Like, people, as much as the whole argument about Messi wouldn't cut it in the Prem, even though we all know that's nonsense, like that's all casual nonsense. There is I think it is underrated in a way, how Ronaldo leaves like countries, and that is a really underrated aspect about his career. Like, I think people downplay it a bit too much. It's definitely hard to adapt to other cultures, other footballing cultures, and he would have done it at 3 of the biggest countries in Europe.
So, can you read out the Champions League games?
Yeah, let's get this going. First one, 6 o'clock kickoff, will not be watched, but Red Star and Liverpool.
I won't watch that, but Liverpool will win like 5-0 again.
Yeah.
In Belgrade, but they'll win 5-0. Monaco, Club Brugge.
Bruges are winning.
It's Monaco at home, so I'll say 1-1.
I'm going for a Monaco win, just
Same.
through pure luck.
I think Henry, all those new managers always get that one. Like, remember Moyes at United, he would get those wins.
Yeah.
I think that's going to eventually happen. Like, numbers.
He got used to the quarter-finals, didn't it?
Yeah.
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 Oh, that Evra goal, man.
He did really well against that Bayern team. Like, Pep's Bayern didn't play that well against.
If Welbeck wasn't a massive,
we'd have won.
You'd have won. How can you try to chip Prime Neuer? Are you dumb?
He tried to chip Prime Joe Hart, so I don't know.
Welbeck's a jack.
I don't know who the hell gassed him up.
Did you see Morata try to chip that goalkeeper today? There's actually so many similarities in Morata and Welbeck in a way.
Yeah, they're both just 2 donkeys.
Morata should be a lot more dominant physically than he is, but he's a bitch.
Yeah.
Why?
Because the guy is tall. He's
never shown it.
Morata's like what, 6'2"?
Yeah,
he is really fast for a guy that's 6'2" and
wide. Yeah.
He could be.
Yeah, his pace is really good. I was really surprised by his pace.
He could be a bit stronger, but even then, at his current state, he shouldn't be bullied off the ball as easily as he gets sometimes. So yeah, I don't understand how can he not impose himself on games more often. So yeah, that's my opinion on Morata. But
to be fair though, I think Lukaku has a really good combination of what you said though. Even though he's quite a controversial figure, like on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, you either love him or you hate him. I think he's got that really good combination of pace, strength, height.
PNP. A bunch of PNP.
What would you say is Lukaku's like biggest flaw? Honestly, like as a striker, is it like that whole touch maybe, which I think gets overplayed in a way.
I don't even know, but he's
too confident.
He's a really good cross. He's a really good crosser as well.
I don't know what his biggest.
He doesn't really have a weakness.
It's something in his. It's probably his mental state or something like that. It's probably his biggest weakness.
His weight, probably.
No, maybe.
Even then,
I feel like that was overrated.
Maybe it's the way he moves in the box because sometimes I feel like he doesn't poach enough.
Yeah, he tries to always take it deep, hold it up, turn. Maybe just be a bit more active in the box. Just try and get.
Because I feel like obviously the natural comparison with Lukaku was always Drogba. Like, I feel like Drogba was always good when isolated. I think Lukaku, I think he struggles isolated. Because I think Lukaku he was a bit more dirtier than Lukaku. He would.
Lukaku's good out wide when he's by himself, but not through the middle.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that's why he's a good crosser. Because he can drift out wide. That's why I remember seeing some United fans saying that they should play him on the wing. I don't know about that.
He bullied Arsenal.
Yeah. I remember that game. Yeah, he bullied them.
Clinic against Vermaelen and Morel.
Martinez masterclass.
I remember, yeah, it wasn't like they were playing like Naismith as like a false nine.
False
or
nine, yeah.
something. Yeah.
Gary Neville dropped a
Football
clinic.
is nuts, man.
No. Gary Neville dropped a clinic on
Yeah.
Monday Night Football the day after. I remember that.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. That was when the Martinez hype was at all time. Like
Was
people.
when Delafeu scored the late minute?
No, that was
Is that the other?
no. The game you're thinking about is the one at the Emirates.
Yeah.
When Özil scored the winner, he didn't score the winner, but he scored that goal
Yeah.
with his right foot, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everton went on the other end like 2 minutes later, and Bielefeld scored.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This was yeah. It was that season. It was just like it was like Goodison.
It was
But yeah,
the
I
one,
remember.
It was the one in which I think Lukaku scored one from cutting inside.
Yeah, I know which one. I know.
And
Yeah.
I don't remember the other two.
We were
Yeah.
top of the league for the longest time of any team that season.
Yeah.
And we
You guys
started
played
fight.
good
We were
football
fighting
that
with
season.
Everton for top 4.
Yeah.
But
Remember, I liked Arsenal that season. Like Ramsey, Özil. It was real. I liked
Combination play.
Yeah.
Sir Mikel.
I think Per and Koscielny were at a really good level as well that season. I think
We
that's
had
probably
that centre back pairing
yeah.
this season.
That was probably the best centre back pairing of the Emirates era.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good team. It just lacked like
it was our highest point tally in the Emirates era, I think. At
13-14.
least from this decade, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, from this decade, yeah, I was gonna say because
It's 79 points.
0708, 08 we got 84.
Yeah.
Because I remember what checking this out. I think it was on Thursday, and we've only accomplished 75 points or more 3 times during this.
What
decade.
did we get
Yeah.
in the Leicester season?
81. No,
Yeah.
71.
71, yeah.
It was a good
Finished
season.
10 points behind Leicester.
I think the only thing
Shut up.
that I think the only thing that the
Oliver.
I think the only thing that went bad for Arsenal that season was the striker depth. Was like it was Giroud,
It was true.
Sanogo, Bentner.
Sanogo.
Yeah.
And
Sanogo.
the
like-
big games.
All the other teams had like Liverpool had. I mean, City had that all-time like great strike depth like
Yeah.
Dzeko, Aguero, and Negredo.
You give us any of them, in the league.
No, but I think
Even Kovacic.
if
I thought
Giroud
Giroud was good that season, not
if
gonna lie.
Giroud hadn't been caught cheating, we would have won the league.
Yeah.
Remember his tweet?
No, this too was too funny. That's the guy that knows he's gonna cheat again. He's Giroud's spot, and then Sanogo goes to pat up Bayern the day after.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Should
Giroud,
we just predict the big Champions League games or
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not trying to really know this game. Cool. So Atletico Dortmund.
Dortmund win?
No, Atleti shithouse win.
Madrid.
Atletico. I'm going Atletico. I think Simeone will learns his lesson.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think
yeah.
2-1 Atletico.
Guys, I actually had a question for the pod. How do you guys would go about replacing Simeone if he was to leave at the end of the season?
I'd get Hardim in.
I agree.
And just deal with the culture shock for a season. Give him a season to be as bad as he wants, and then watch it. Maybe lose. They'll probably lose Griezmann in the process to somebody. Because that's the thing, though. Because like I was saying before, with Simeone, you lose him, you lose the entire coaching staff. You lose the guy that's been preparing all those players' meals, taking them on runs, basically setting them up, the fitness coach.
It's mad how Simeone has got like all these players to buy into that whole. Because I think it gets to a point for the players where like they're professionals, like they're almost being treated like school children.
Yeah, the lack of but that's the thing though, because you're trading in your dignity to win.
Yeah, like I remember Mourinho, like a lot of the players in the third season in his first spell at Chelsea, they were like Mourinho got too intense by the end. That players like they naturally like started to drop off from him. But I think with Simeone, he's been intense for like his nearly his whole spell at Atletico, and he still hasn't lost the dressing room.
That's the thing though, because I think that's what he's Mourinho's doing this season, and that's why I think Lukaku's just not gonna get back to his form. Because I don't think he's mentally strong enough to that sort of coaching works.
Hazard said the same thing, I think. Because like when you're losing, Mourinho's like one of the worst managers to be under.
Yeah, because Lukaku is just, I think he's one of those where he maybe just needs just a pat on the back.
It's why maybe like we've seen that whole idea about him being an out-of-touch coach with the way they talk about, like, he says players nowadays are too like spoiled. I feel like he comes off as a bit of like a dinosaur when he says that. Like, surely you should adapt to the times and realize that you're not going to be coaching Lampard, Terry, Drogba all your career.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to be coaching like people with social media, guys with
By Pogba.
The thing about Mourinho is that he's a very especially me, because I'm Portuguese, he comes across as a very traditional man and a very old-fashioned Portuguese man. So everything that he says, everything that he criticizes, is something that if I was to go to a cafe and watch football with someone, that someone would say at a cafe. So he's not a man that I don't even know how to describe it. It's as if he has never been around footballers before. In the sense that,
to be fair, he didn't
never
have a playing career. Yeah, he was never a player.
But he was still around like when his dad was playing. He was still there. He's lad.
I don't think he understands people, like young people, anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't think he can motivate them into.
That's why he's constantly linked with players like Perisic and Willian. I mean, I'm not going to say they're really bad players, but if you look at their ages, then they're 30, 29. They've been around the block for ages, and they're players that he needs to have that dressing room with players like that, I think.
Experience.
Yeah.
That's the thing though, because with Martial, who I think he's maybe turned it around with, have we finally seen it? I think he's trying to become like friends with him. What I'm seeing, like, he's trying to become close with Martial. With Pogba, I don't know if they're close now, but I think that was a character building, and I think that was between them, sort of relationship saving, that public fallout.
To be fair, I feel like I like Mourinho a lot as a manager. Like, I feel like his peak, his peak is one of the best ever. But one thing that will annoy me is if Martial like carries on with this form, and like people will use Mourinho like the way he handled Martial, and they will use it like, oh, look at his amazing man management skills. It's like man. That's nonsense.
That's
like
Mike LUHG, all them guys. Like, oh, but that's the thing though. Because
sometimes just give the player some props. Like,
that's the thing with Raheem Sterling.
That's what Gary Neville said the other day.
Pep is there to give him his chance and improve him as any manager should. But no, don't tell me that we wouldn't be seeing this under any other manager.
Yeah, these guys have been training. These guys have been training their entire lives. These guys have been training since they were young.
I saw Raheem Sterling playing 10 under Brendan Rodgers at 19, 20, almost to a title, and then I seen him play false 9 2 years later, basically carrying them. And he won Golden Boy. He was in Prem Team of the Year. All of this during that.
Martial came to this country as like a guy. He was almost, I wouldn't say an unknown, but he came with big money like on the last day of the season. He produced in his first season, so he's not going to be he's not this guy that's like this really quiet guy. He's obviously a guy with great like sort of mental strength, even though he struggled with inconsistency over the past year. Just to simply say when a manager like treats him like crap and he comes back, it's all the manager's.
Exactly.
It's just,
I think you give the manager their props, but you give the player just as much. Yeah. Because the player is there to perform. The player still has to compute all of that and put it in their head and go out there and ball out.
Yeah.
A manager can't. What was that?
I didn't say anything. I'm not gonna slander a certain Spanish player that couldn't compute information from a great manager.
What?
Is that Francesc slander? Yeah, is that what we're hearing? Well, next game. Napoli PSG
Napoli win at home as well.
at the
I see
elusive home ground.
I
I
see.
see
I see a draw.
I
Napoli are
see a
playing
draw
really
as well,
good
yeah.
football.
I
I
can't
see a
lie.
score draw.
Neymar's doing the business, bro.
Nah.
Neymar's doing it. I don't care.
I think he'll have a good performance, but it'll probably be a draw. I reckon something lets that team down.
If they draw, they out.
Pretty much, because they have to face Liverpool again, and then I think they have to go all the way to Serbia, and if they go to
They're on 4 points right now.
they're on 4 points and Napoli are on 5.
5, yeah.
Oh, even if they draw, maybe beat Liverpool at home.
The mad thing is though is that if this was 2015 or 2016 PSG, I would have got them to the win. In all honesty,
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
I
just
think
felt like
they'll
a
win.
much stronger team. Yeah.
I think they'll win. I think Neymar will put in an amazing performance.
I can't see Neymar putting an amazing performance actually. I see Napoli stifling Neymar.
What tactics do you think they'll use to stifle him? Because
I feel
he's a really hard player. to
Yeah,
stifle.
exactly. 4-4-2.
no, it won't be. It will be. I think it'll be. I think they'll approach the game in a similar way, but I feel like PSG won't have the majority of the ball. Hence, whenever Neymar gets it, he's gonna force the game too much.
Uh-huh.
Remember that tie against Juventus at home? I feel like he'll have a similar performance to that.
I think the only way to stop Neymar is just to honestly tactically foul him. Like we saw it with Belgium at the World Cup. Like they literally kicked the crap out of him, and that was the way they stopped him. In a way,
Neymar gets too much abuse for getting fouled. He gets fouled a lot, and in Liga it's worse than in Spain. Because in Spain, the defenders are scared of attackers. So
Yeah, in France, these guys do not care.
in France, they are all thugs, man. Like
They want to swipe him up. They don't care.
yeah.
They just do not care about.
Pitches are worse as well.
Yeah, it looks like an ankle injury every time they step up.
But then sometimes I can't even believe Neymar's at PSG. Like I look at him like I was watching a comp yesterday, and I was like, right, like Neymar actually plays for Paris.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a madness.
That's crazy. That's the first time Barcelona have ever been bullied by an inferior club to sell.
I think is it really the only time they've sold a player in their prime? Like
they sold Figo.
To Madrid, yeah.
Yeah, but Figo was that was a mad one though. Like, that situation was insane.
I guess I remember Eto'o. Chelsea wanted Eto'o in around like 2006, but they didn't budge. They're like top 2 biggest club in Europe. You just can't. It's hard to buy a player. Or like they were only like a Zlatan who like fell out with the board and the manager.
So
do you guys reckon Zlatan will come back to Europe?
hopefully not.
Hopefully, yes. I love Zlatan.
I've had enough of Zlatan, bro.
Stop.
I've had enough.
Gonna give Lukaku some competition in January.
I love Zlatan.
With his peg leg, yeah.
Watch Ibra come back, try ball, and then these United fans will be begging for Lukaku to come back.
I still think his first season in England is slept on. I know
He was dead.
Nelson will disagree, but I thought like, come on, the guy was
35.
For a period, I won't lie, for a period he was alright.
To come to England as a 35-year-old and produce the way he did.
The guy
That
tweeted,
Southampton
I'm
game.
taking over, I'm a lion. I don't care if you're 35, you're 80. Do the
That
job.
Southampton game in the final, I'll give him props for that. He stepped up. He won us the game on his own.
I think
Like
ability-wise, how would we rank him among other great strikers? Because he never
He's
won the
really
champion.
good.
Top.
He never won the Champions League, obviously,
Mm.
but his record is sensational wherever he's been.
Is he better than Ronaldo? No. Is he better than Henry? No. Is he better than Suarez?
No.
No.
That's an interesting debate, to be fair.
Is
I
he?
He's better than Falcao.
Is he
Yeah.
better?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Falcao, a lot of guys are better than
I think Suarez is definitely a guy you would want in a team.
Is he better than? Is he better than Aguero?
Yes.
No.
I think he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
I don't think he is.
Yeah.
I rate Aguero over Zlatan.
No.
Was that?
No, Zlatan was nuts. Especially when he was at AC. I thought.
Oh yeah,
the
AC
guy-
Milan.
That guy was.
I mean, honestly think his best form was at PSG.
Yeah.
It's mad to think about when it was
His
like.
first couple seasons at PSG, he was amazing.
To me,
Was he a
like,
top 3 player in the world?
I
At
think.
one point, yeah.
I think. Oh, you know when he scored that hat trick, or I don't know if it was even 4 goals against England. I think he was
What,
like,
the overhead kick.
yeah. I think when he did that, he was literally only Messi and Ronaldo were better than him. Like during that time, I think it was like
30?
2013. Yeah, I think it was like 2013.
Yeah.
Only Messi and Ronaldo, I'd say, were better than him. Like he was scoring at a rate like comparable to them, leading his team.
He just,
I
uh,
See, that's the thing.
he just
PSG were more dangerous then.
Yeah.
They are now.
He does. I do feel he has his flaws in Europe. Like his maybe the way he moved. Like he's quite. I want to say yeah. He needs, but he isn't a striker that really will run the channel. And I think you need that in Europe. You need strikers like that in Europe. Like either selfless strikers.
Do you
that,
think
like,
Cavani is a good striker to have in Europe?
Definitely, I think Cavani is. He obviously
Yeah.
just suffers from that missing chances in big games, but like in terms of like his profile, I think he's perfect for Europe.
Cavani's such a good mover. Like, just this is
Yeah,
movement.
the guy played on the wing, and like even though his goals sort of dried up a bit because he was playing on the wing, like he still
Yeah,
worked.
he's still getting 20 a season.
Yeah, he was working them like really hard, and I think strikers like that are really valuable in Europe. Like if you look at the last sort of couple of strikers to have won the Champions League, look at Benzema, who's like obviously the pinnacle of like strikers who are selfless, who
Yeah.
work for the team, constantly trying to like complement others.
Media
When I seen
central.
that article about Giroud is the new scoreless striker, I almost lost my head. What?
I don't mean like he was the main striker in a World Cup winning team, so
I don't care. He had no shots on target.
yeah.
He was stuck.
Wait, what? He had no shots
He
on
had
target.
0
Yeah.
shots on target. All
Yeah.
he did was to look big and like shuffle. He just did the cha-cha slide during the World Cup.
Yeah.
Did nothing.
He did the Firmino.
Firmino's this season's, I don't know, he doesn't really have the goals to.
Liverpool can replace him now. Honestly.
I don't necessarily think they need to replace him, but the way Liverpool have approached games this season in which they don't press from the front just makes them redundant.
Like, they could use an Aubameyang right now.
I don't know. I think Lacazette would be perfect because he can complement Salah and
I think
Mane.
Lacazette's intensity really. I was really impressed by it in the Liverpool game. The intensity, the link up was really good, and
I don't know
The
why
thing I-
Arsenal fans are starting a war about Laka and Alba. We've got both.
the thing I love most about the thing I love most about Laka though is the way he shoots the ball. Like it's just so quick. He releases it so quick and it's so powerful. I think only like I guess Aguero, Kane are the only players that will have like a better
He can,
like shot striking ability for a striker.
and he strikes it really hard. Like
Yeah. I look at his
That goal
goal.
versus Roma.
Yeah. That goal against I think it was Everton. That was so nice. I love seeing those type of goals. I love strikers like that. Aguero, they just constantly looking to shoot. I think Morata lacks that a lot. When the ball gets to him in the box, he struggles to like place his feet. His shot really isn't the best. That's why a lot of his goals come through headers because headers are things where you don't really need to think about. You just need to just get on the end of it.
Yeah.
But once you have like seconds to think about whether to release a shot, where to like angle your body, he struggles. But for someone like Lacazette, it's like it comes really natural to him.
Lacazette's got the sauce.
The thing about Lacazette that has improved the most is that he's working harder to get in goal scoring opportunities. So last season, I don't know if it was a systematic thing, but he just didn't get enough shots. There would be countless
It
games
was
in which
systematic. It was systematic.
there would be countless games in which he finished the game without any shots at all. So.
To be fair, it might be systematic, but it also might be just adaptation. Like coming to a new league, it was obviously
Yeah, it was
it's
tough
not.
on him.
Yeah.
I think he even mentioned it that when he came, he was surprised by how quick the league was. So
Yeah.
it took him a long time to basically get up to speed with the demands of a striker in the Premier League.
I think it was that. I think when I finally realized he was like really good was it was in the second half of his first season. I think it was like against West Ham or something like that, where he just turned it on and scored like this. I think the thing with Arsenal this season are like the way they score braces. Like it's just so quick. Like you have these 10-minute spells where Lacazette and Aubameyang, they're just so clinical. They're able to win you games and they're able to hide like flaws in the team.
That's what I'm saying. Like if Chelsea had one of them.
Yeah. And it's a sustainable way of like winning games because they're both really prolific scorers. Like Hazard has scored a lot this season, but
Top scorer.
When you look at the chances, they're not like tap-ins. They're like a lot of them, like they're sort of maybe he's not shooting as much. It's more been like just a really good finishing sort of thing.
I think Arsenal benefit from being fitter than most I think every team in the league. I think Arsenal are the fittest team in the league right now.
Except for City.
Yeah, because we basically, apart from yesterday, I don't think we've tired late in games in any game. We've only gotten stronger than the opposition. And when it gets to that 70th minute, in which teams are tired of attempting to press us, we just kill them because they're tired. And Lacazette will come on, and suddenly you have two guys that can score goals out of nowhere, and we do.
Yeah.
Xhaka was brilliant yesterday.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Xhaka, Torreira, they were amazing yesterday.
What do you guys think of Ramsey then? Like he's almost become redundant.
Don't know. Just cut the ties.
Ramsey needs to go to Juventus, basically.
David will be getting an 11 Sports subscription next season.
Or
Chelsea, I think would be good.
I'm not even gonna lie.
Ramsey at Chelsea will hurt.
That 11 Sports package is amazing.
If they had the Prem, it would be really good.
Because they're charging 39 quid for you to have every La Liga game and every Serie A game.
For a month? 39 a month?
No, for the rest of the season.
For the rest of the season?
Yeah. It's like 4 quid a month. It's a really good deal. It's a really, really good
Sky Sports are done out here.
Sky are finished, honestly. The minute that they lose it, I don't think they will though.
They'll never lose the Premier League.
They need to get 3 p.m. kickoffs televised. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, what's the point of this?
So old-fashioned.
What's it called? Embargo.
The
3 p.m. embargo. What's the point?
You know, when I moved to England, that was the thing that stroked me the most. So one day, I think I went to a pub for some reason, and it was for the 3 o'clock kickoffs, and they told me, no, we don't showcase the 3 o'clock games in England, and I was like, what?
Someone's explained it to me, but it's something to do with something to do with fans.
Yeah, they think people won't go to stadiums as much if they're shown on TV.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, but
I think they need to do the scheduling better. I think we should have more Friday night games, and I think.
What did you think of the Saturday schedule? There was a game at like 7:45.
After that Arsenal match finished, I was not watching any more football.
Yeah.
I was exhausted. I was not gonna watch no Spurs Wolves.
It was awful. I think we need more games on Fridays, and I think we need more games on. We need more games on TV in general because what people pay currently for the TV packages is just simply not a good enough product. You
Yeah.
get
Do
you
you
get
know?
at
Yeah.
most 6 games a weekend from the Premier League, at most. That's shocking for
Mhm.
what? Is it like
50,
50,
40.
50 pound a month? No,
Yeah.
man. No,
You know what
that's
they? Do you know
shocking.
what a better way to for the scheduling? They need to fucking scrap the League Cup.
Yeah.
Like, that's a way that would
Absolutely.
improve the scheduling. I don't know. I still don't know why they have that. Like I don't know how you pronounce it. The Carabao Cup. I
Carabao
Yeah.
don't know
Cup.
why. Yeah, I don't know why they still have it. That's if they took that away, it would make scheduling much better. But who
League
knows with
Cup.
that?
It's 2018.
Yeah. But who knows with they're introducing a winter break next year, so
It's in
That's
Really?
February though, which is
yeah,
weird.
yeah.
I thought
What's
it
the
was in
point?
January.
So they're still gonna give us all those games in that little Christmas period.
It's a beautiful session though,
Let
not
let
gonna
the
lie.
players all burn out and then give them a break.
I don't care if they burn out.
I
That
love
amount of football is
I love it.
amazing.
I love it.
We don't even watch football anymore, so I don't know why you're.
Mm.
This guy watches like one game a month.
To be fair, that's why I think Liverpool this year they're actually going to do really well in around November, December because they're conserving a lot of energy. Their front three still
Yeah.
hasn't
We
clicked.
got a question about that
But they don't rotate their front three that often.
because they're also fit.
They do with Shaqiri.
They do.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, Shaqiri. Look,
Because
I think
but when
I think,
they play Shaqiri, they usually play like
40.
one of
I
the
think,
midfielder. Yeah, 4-2-3-1.
I think Spurs and Chelsea are the two teams that might suffer the most during the Christmas period.
I think
It depends.
I think Spurs will grow stronger from now all the way.
So I
to
think Spurs are out of the Champions League. So
I just think the natural injuries and squad depth will catch up on Spurs this year.
yeah.
But
If
they'll sign someone in January.
do they have that kind of peak?
Like enough to make like a top four push. Like
I think they should sign 19-year-olds. That's why I think that's a good business model for Spurs to have at the moment.
because like Arsenal are considered like quite financially like handicapped compared to City, United, but even they managed in January to sign Aubameyang, who was one of the Europe's best strikers.
Yeah.
And I don't think Spurs can do that like at all.
I think because you see Guendouzi, even if you don't rate Guendouzi, that was a smart signing because not only are you investing in your squad and your playing squad right now, you're investing in a 19-year-old that has marketability and that will probably grow in value, and he can already contribute to your playing squad. Spurs
They sort of already have that with Winks though, with Harry Winks.
I'm not saying Guendouzi in particular, but Spurs should have looked for like a 19-year-old winger in France or something.
In G.
Not in G. In G was a
Nkudu. Let's go.
and Nkudu was fraud. I remember speaking to Torsten and he said, "Yo, the two guys Spurs got, they're frauds, bro. They were frauds in France, and Spurs still got them. So I don't know what's going on in their scouting, but."
They just got like the generic black players from the league. They thought they were probably going to be good.
But Spurs need to change their approach because what they're currently doing is they're maintaining their squad and that's fine because they have a good
Lucas
squad.
Moura was a decent signing in January.
Yeah, they need more guys. Not Lucas Moura because he probably has high wages or something, but they need to refresh that squad. That squad is now getting
Running on fumes.
What it was.
He's hit his ceiling.
Nah.
Pochettino's hit that team is hit the ceiling. Like, where can they go that's better than the peak they reached? They're not going to win the league.
Their ceiling was destroyed by that Chelsea team having a historic season.
Yeah.
Like they got 86 points in a season where like
losing the league when you get 86 points is wow.
that normally wins you the league, and they did it in a season where Pep was having a transition year, where United as well were like sort of in transition with Mourinho in his first year. Pretty much every like coach apart from Wenger and Poch, every club had like a new coach, and that was their window. And
And
they ran across
Nah,
that went into that season with much higher expectations than Spurs.
Did we?
Because like you had
relax,
Alexis, you had Alexis and Ozil. You had Alexis and Ozil.
I remember vividly because that everyone was saying, Jamie Redknapp, I heard Gary Neville, this is the year they're finally falling out the top 4.
Yeah, but
all their favourite teams, Man City, United, Chelsea. Chelsea finished 10th. I heard all of them.
Like,
I didn't hear none of that talk. But Arsenal were the ones that bottled it.
Compared to Spurs, I would say Arsenal's expectations were definitely higher than Spurs.
Yeah, Arsenal's expectations were higher than Spurs.
No, but we even finished the season quite strongly.
Yeah.
The season before, so at the time,
I think you were the best team in the league. Like in the second half of 14-15, you were the best.
2015.
No, in 2015, we were top 5 team in the world.
Yeah.
Just.
I felt when we started that season in 15-16, I felt like we were ready to compete at least with Chelsea.
In 2015, Mesut Ozil not getting nominated for Ballon d'Or was a joke.
Mesut Ozil got nominated in 2014, so it doesn't really matter.
To be fair, he didn't even get nominated for the player of the year. I don't think he even got in the team of the year.
No, he got nominated for player of the year, then get to team of the year.
Yeah.
Like what, 15 assists before January or something?
16. Yeah, 16.
He burnt out physically.
He did not. He
did.
Don't get me started, fam. His production was the same.
It was Giroud.
Underlying, it was the same. Giroud.
I blame Alexis a lot for that season, to be fair. I blame
Alexis a lot. Alexis had blood on his hands.
No, but
Ramsey as well didn't do well.
Alexis didn't. I felt like Alexis, just like the injury that basically finished him, he came back early. He came back way too early, and he tried to get up to speed, and shit working.
It's like Kane at the moment.
Yeah, it's like Kane. Like, you're trying to play through injury, you're trying to do everything to get back into form, to score goals, and it just isn't working. And that's what Alexis did. We had somewhat of a balance with Campbell and Walcott, and once Sanchez came back, that balance just went away again. And we didn't have Cazorla, so that affected Ozil as well. So Ozil was asked to do way too much in that second half of the season, and he simply just didn't have the physical endurance to carry us over the line, because Giroud wasn't performing. He didn't have
14 games without a goal.
He didn't have Cazorla, and Sanchez was struggling. So it was way too much for him to carry us. I don't blame his performances, but I just think it was a combination of everything that stopped us from winning the league at that year.
Remember when Rashford's game against Arsenal?
Yeah.
You remember how good Mesut Ozil was that day?
Yeah, he was very good. He was really good.
After that, I think he should have left. Like, realistic, any just player that has any respect for themselves should not think about staying in that situation after that game. Mesut Ozil just took it by the scruff of the neck. He did everything and still nothing.
But I feel like Ozil loves London, so yeah.
I think United would have been.
You should have gotten him instead of Alexis.
Yeah.
You tried. You failed. Relax.
No. Apparently, Ozil contacted United's representatives, and United's representatives.
That's a lie. That was. They only When did you hear that? Before or after the contract?
It was through men, and men are very.
No, men are useless.
Men are
useless.
Lockhurst is their boy.
He's a racist.
He is Woodward's boy. Every time there's a story that United want to look good in, they'll tell Lockhurst, and he'll go say, "Oh, we rejected him." That's a lie. They were begging for Ozil.
Yeah, we will have this discussion forever, but I feel like United didn't push hard enough for him. So
I agree.
So basically, Ozil was left. Either I stay at Arsenal, or I go to free agency, and I don't know what might happen. So we decided to stay at Arsenal. And for the record, he wasn't bad in that second half of the
I
season.
think, FIFA, I think a big reason why United went in for Alexis was to trump City. Like, City were playing so well, United needed to get something over them just for like morale reasons. That's the reason why I think they didn't go in for Ozil. Like, and in hindsight, Ozil would have made that.
One of the worst footballing decisions of all time.
Ozil would have made United just like orchestrating their. To me, that's the biggest flaw of United is it's the inconsistency in the final third play.
Yeah.
They don't have that player that constantly just averages like a bunch of take-ons, a bunch of key passes, and Ozil is a guy that he's consistently, even when he plays poorly, he will have really good numbers in that regard.
I think Mahrez as well would have been an amazing signing for United in the summer.
It's weird that like no one, Chelsea, United, like City got him just out of nothing. Like no one challenged them.
They paid a lot though.
Yeah.
And Mahrez's stock was pretty low. Like for
I think it was because they were like uncertain if he could transfer his numbers to a big team.
exactly.
Because his team wouldn't play for him as much as Leicester would.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To be fair, he didn't even start off like he started off slowly at City, but now he's catching up. He's catching up for him.
Yeah.
He's turning into Pep's robot. He'll be there.
He stopped playing ISO ball.
It's hard. It's hard for a winger at City though, because
It is, yeah.
you see it more with Sané than with Sterling, but they basically have to they have isolations all the time against their fullback, and sometimes the midfielder will come along and protect the wing back, and it's just you versus them all the time, and you running into brick walls all the time, and it must be frustrating, but when it works, they obviously score 90% of the time. So yeah.
So they just score in like really efficient ways, like those cutbacks, crosses. It's their bread and butter.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm starting to think like I saw a tweet the other week in that I don't know why teams are so sort of obsessed with like link up play strikers when so much of the way strikers score nowadays are through those cutbacks.
Yeah.
And that's like poaching in a way.
Uh-huh.
And it's a really like sustainable way and good way of scoring.
Yeah,
like,
why people need to stop looking at Pep Guardiola like he's some god. He wins the best way to win.
yeah.
His teams play beautifully, but when it comes to we need a goal, they're gonna get cutbacks in. They're gonna get some long balls. They're gonna get crosses. They're gonna do it how it needs to be done. They're gonna win games,
Yeah.
and they're gonna win it dirty.
Yeah, I think what Seb has been doing on Twitter with all this fouling shit, I think it's very petty. I do understand it because it's frustrating to play against, but it's petty. It's very petty.
Yeah, every team, every sort of top manager has sort of gone through that. Like, even Wenger's Arsenal were considered like quite had a poor discipline record in his first couple of years in England.
Yeah.
Like they all go through it, and it's just and like the thing is they don't get punished like for it. Like there isn't any rules against tactical fouling. It's just exploiting really.
It happens.
Yeah. And like, what do you expect? I guess when you play so high up.
Arsenal are starting to become like a pet team in that sense because we're starting to foul people a lot more in our own offensive third. So Shaka always gets booked, but that's just him being dumb because he doesn't know how to foul people. But Torreira, I've noticed this a lot. Torreira always fouls people when their back is against their own goal. So he rarely gets booked because of it. While Shaka waits till someone is running at our defense and he'll just touch their shirt or he'll just do a dumb slide challenge. But even then, he's improving in that regard, which is good to see.
Yeah, I think last week we was complaining about the two defensive mids, but I don't know. If this is how they're gonna play, or just a little bit of that intensity every week, I'm happy with Xhaka and Torreira for now.
But the thing with Torreira is he isn't quite fit enough for the Prem for that level of intensity every week.
Not yet.
because I noticed it because I watched the game back, and by the 75th minute he was already cramping up. He couldn't run anymore. He couldn't sprint. So I think
But he gave his body
so I
that
think
first 75.
I think
He
by
was.
I think next year it'll be even better.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
To be fair, I think I like about Shaq is that I do think he has like a reliable technique. Like he's a good striker of the ball. I
yeah
think I think that's why Emery values him highly. Like he hasn't dropped him once. Is that he has a reliable sort of like technique. You know, things like that can't be sort of coached.
and
Mhm.
he's very his endurance is
Yeah,
superb because
Yeah.
he's never injured.
I think he's started the last 60 odd Premier League games.
Yeah,
He,
and that's for a midfielder. Like that's I think midfielders, defenders. I think endurance
Mhm.
is the thing you're most looking for because they're the ones that are, like the thing with attackers is that you like it. I think it's good to rotate them every once in a while, but like midfielders and defenders, you want to create like a solid spine for them, like
Yeah.
solid relationships. That's why you see so many title-winning partnerships in based in midfield and defense.
guys, we've been recording for nearly 2 hours. So do you guys want?
we're
Yeah,
not. We're
Do you
not
To be
even.
guys?
fair, we did restart.
Yeah,
Should
but
we just do the questions?
yeah, we're gonna
yeah.
do some
Okay.
questions.
Oh, should we?
Hello guys, this is me, David. I'm in the post editing, not post editing, in the editing process right now, and as you can see, it's a very long podcast. So I'm just gonna chop the pod into two. So if you guys want to listen to the question bit, to every single one of the questions and our debate till the end of the podcast, you'll feel free to do so. But bear in mind that this is the basically the end of the podcast. So there will be two podcasts this week. So one for the normal pod and one for the questions. So that's it. Thank you for listening. The support has been immense, and we're really grateful for everything that you guys have done. Like share the tweets, use the hashtag. We're really enjoying the making this for the timeline, and yeah, that's basically all I needed to say. Shout out again to Tosin because he made the intro and the outro, and yeah, see you guys next week.